Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those of you around the world. Welcome to the daily Trade the Chain crypto update, where we give you everything you need to know for the next 24 hours and hopefully the next few days. Today is Tuesday, April 18th, and we are at the second day of the trading week. Just to recap quickly, we do not have too much data this week. Housing starts were pretty in line. Manufacturing index came in pretty solid. And so we have, Fed governors are speaking all week, which we covered in yesterday's show. We have jobless claims on Thursday, which come in every week and aren't too significant, but, any crazy number that is above or below the expected will certainly breed some volatility. But if it's around this number, no big deal. And then, Thursday, we have a lot of Fed representative speaking. And then Friday, this will be relatively significant heading into the weekend. We have flash services PMI. So we'll discuss this a little bit later, as nothing will affect this, I think today, which is Tuesday, tomorrow, which is Wednesday. So we can talk about that more on Thursday heading into Friday, but very absent data this week. And when we are absent data, we tend to form a range. And so that is what we covered, yesterday. And I think, it's very much what's playing out today. So looking at DXY, we've been volatile in a bearish fashion, but we did sweep the recent lows and we obviously recovered above the recent low. So it's trying to make a higher low after the even macro low. And that's basically trying to build new market structure. So if it builds a higher low here, and then can get to a higher high up here, then now the market structure is changing. So bulls do not want to see a DXY above 102.5, but obviously hovering around the 101 point, mid 101 level, it's above this low and it's under this low. So it needs to get above this low to continue higher, and that low is of course 102. So above 102, risk is getting hurt and DXY is moving higher. Below 102, DXY is obviously moving lower or consolidating, and risk is likely having fun or at least consolidating. So keeping an eye on DXY. Pretty much all of the bullish or bearish movements have ended up coinciding with some pretty good inverse volatility from risk assets. So continue on that trend. Looking at equities, this is what we drew earlier for the TTC community. So if we could hold above, previous daily close, obviously that was the best case scenario. It did not play out. Second scenario was hover around the VWAP, which, coincides with this ascending triangle type of formation. So obviously we're holding the ascending trend, but, no confirmation above. Basically what I would like to see is, would like to see price get back above the previous daily close and move higher like that. If it stays under the previous daily close, you're likely back down to the VWAP and trading around here for either up here or like we had drawn before. If we drop lower, then we're probably dropping something like this. I would assume probably a little catch around the VWAP channel, as well as, obviously 1 hour estimated 200 moving average has been great support. If we just zoom out, look at all the taps, tap here, zoomed higher, tap here, confirmation tap, zoomed higher, tap the VWAP near the trend, zoom higher, tap here, zoom higher, tap here, recover a little bit. So obviously this trend has been working. We did form a higher high this morning, but obviously seem to kind of deviate from that high. But we really need to hold this level, which is the 41.45 level, to continue higher. If we lose this level, break below the VWAP, it's going to be very hard to continue this trend, and we'll likely end up dropping back to the 1 hour estimated moving 1 hour 200 estimated moving average, or potentially lower. This target right here, 41.15 potential target, as that is where the previous VWAP was before we headed into the new week. So very much something to consider in relation to that. A lot of times you will see price come down and kind of sweep this price right here, and then it'll potentially move higher or end up doing something like that. So no trade for me right now. I think we actually did share a trade for ETH and Bitcoin in the TTC community last night that led to the rise. Well, it didn't lead to the rise, but we predicted the rise. So no trade for me right now due to some wonkiness. But obviously, if equities can hold here, get back above the previous daily close and start inching higher, then I think the crypto outlook looks a little better. So yesterday, simplistically for Bitcoin is, you could technically kind of call this a 3-tap, 1, 2, sweep, and then head higher. And your trigger would either be a reclaim of the previous daily close or the reclaim of the VWAP, which also kind of coincides with the 1 hour estimated 200 moving average. So for me, the reclaim, for safer trading, the better trade was the reclaim of the VWAP. Long that, wake up to some really good price action. We've seen a lot of selling, and obviously transparently told this to TTC community. And again, if you're not in the community, we're sending out daily research emails now that include all the trades that we put in the community. So whether or not you're a Discord active or you open up your emails, all of those trades go in there or get to you if you're a member every single day. And one thing that we definitely mentioned, and we have been mentioning, is that the U.S. markets have been selling during U.S. sessions. So we obviously had the rise overnight during the Asia session. U.S. opened around 6, 7 a.m. Pacific time. And then, of course, we've only dropped lower. So considering the fact that we dropped lower, we're hovering around. And obviously, here's the two routes that, we drew for the TTC community: break above 35 or 30.5, move higher, rejected at 30.5, start to move lower. So we're at the first area where you would expect the catch to happen, top of the VWAP channel. If this fails, then we're heading back down to the VWAP, which also coincides the estimated 200 moving average. So really good confluence of support there. Also coincides with this support here. And if we can hold this, then that's basically just a deviation under the mid-range, and then we're moving higher. So we basically need to hold 20.8 for fantastic bullish continuation. If we do not hold that, then you're basically going to sweep these lows again, which further adds weakness, which could potentially start to think about a drop down, to 29 or something like that. So moral of the story is you want to hold 28.8. You can definitely head higher. There's certainly a chance we can head higher from here, although I just do not really like that trade opportunity. So that's kind of how this would go, or you get rejected right here, or you move up right here and do something like that. So I'm not entering right here. I would very much like to enter a retap of the VWAP. If I get that, I'll be entering. If not, then I'll wait for us to break above resistance again. If we break above resistance, get a small scalp up to 31, then potentially a short, or break up above 31. So that is the trade outlook. But again, I'm probably looking for something more so like that heading into today. So looking at ETH, I think this is probably the clearest trade that was available. And although Bitcoin definitely had a better movement, I really just liked the setup for ETH. And I'm going to, because of the way the VWAP is configured, it messes up my chart sometimes. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of expand things for you guys. So 3-tap, 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 1-tap, 2-tap with a deviation, 3-tap. So typically you will not see this deviation. This is a rare deviation for a 3-tap. And certainly a lot of people were longing right here and got squeezed. And then obviously price shot up that way. So, this, and of course, I probably would have recommended that your stop be right here. And obviously if your stop was right here, you would have been bought, or you would have been cut out of that. But if you were a brazen trader, the trade, of course, still did work out, even if your entry was a little bit early, is the 3-tap. So 1-tap, deviation, 3-tap, and then we head higher. And your trigger would typically be, just the 3rd tap on an early entry, or your trigger would be, again, just similar to Bitcoin, breaking above the VWAP, and then you long that VWAP retest. So basically looking down here, and look at all the volume that ended up coming in too. So obviously, that was a good sign there. But let's look at obviously. So we previously talked about how to knife catch as well. So there's a couple of learning lessons in this. So we had this sell volume candle. Here's the sell volume, and then we had a huge wick here, and price accumulated half the previous candle with equal buy volume. And then the follow-up candle was more buy volume, and we basically overtook that red candle. And then we never went back low again. So that was a fantastic long signal right here, just based on the volume that I've talked about this before. And then, another long signal would have been reclaim the VWAP. So that's why I always talk about this in relation to Bitcoin, because obviously if you long here on the 3-tap, you got hurt, or potentially were in a precarious position for several minutes. Now, if you long the VWAP reclaim, you don't get the entire trade, but you get a majority of the trade. So if you would have longed here, that's a 3.5% trade. If you would have longed just the VWAP, you got a 2% trade. But I'd much rather take a safe 2% trade than a risky 3% trade, in my opinion. So same thing for ETH. If you long the VWAP retest, which above the VWAP, retested it, closed above the VWAP. So let's just, from the VWAP to the peak, that's still close to a 2% trade as well. And of course, maybe you cut it at the 1.2%, but that's still a good trade. A 1% trade, on 10x leverage can make or break your day, or even 2x leverage or 5x leverage. So those are really good trading techniques. And, the risky route is long here. Safer route is wait for to see if it deviates. And obviously both of these candles and the buy volume was telling you deviation was happening. And then if you wanted to take it, the safest route possible is just long the VWAP reclaim. And if you would have longed the VWAP reclaim, this immediate trade was fantastic. And obviously it got all the way up here by riding the top of the VWAP channel. So the VWAP and the VWAP channel, pretty much the nicest trades you could have had. Sell, when it's outside of the VWAP channel, long it again, so you can play this type of trading, especially if you're already in profit. You can take a little bit more risk if you'd like, or you can just sit with your risk and enjoy the profits that you're experiencing. So to kind of zoom out again, just to give you what we think will likely happen with ETH today, let's go ahead and get rid of these. So we are, fortunately for ETH, we're hovering around the VWAP right now. And unlike Bitcoin, Bitcoin is obviously above the VWAP on the VWAP channel. ETH is sitting right at the VWAP. So this is where you would want to start thinking about a long, but just in relation to the Bitcoin chart, I'm not sure I would want to take a long immediately, because these are still probably going to move relatively together. But my system says typically you want to long a reclaim of the VWAP. And so nothing about these candles, unfortunately, tells me that it is claiming, that it is bouncing off the VWAP. We certainly have 1 wick here, 2 wicks here, little ugly spinning top here, and then a very nondescript candle that still has over 50 minutes left. So I'm going to wait to see how this candle closes. If it does maybe come above the VWAP channel, maybe that's a good long entry, but I'd like to wait to see if we get another potentially sweep down here and then a really good long, because I want to see a really nice rejection with a follow through candle. Like right here, this candle was a decent rejection, but there was really no follow through. And if we look at the volume profile, only sell volume has come in after that tap. There's been really no buy volume. So right now, although we are tapping on the VWAP, I don't have any other signals to take this trade. So what I'll probably wait for is either, some buy volume to come in and we get above the VWAP channel, something like that, or we end up sweeping the VWAP like this and head higher, or we just end up dropping to the previous daily close, and then we have potentially another 3 tap on an elongated spectrum setup. So I think, while I'm still generally macro bullish, and equities are looking good. Oh, that's a nice boost up for equities. We just talked about that reclaim of the previous daily close. So now that equities are looking a little bit better, now my outlook is starting to change a little bit on ETH. Although I still do not have any confirmation, I'll probably wait for this hourly candle to come in, because I think we can be patient during the US session. US session trading has shown us that patience definitely pays off. So I'll probably continue to wait. But if we get a nice buy volume come in, if we can reclaim both of these candles, which is 2100, or get above to 2104, I'm probably longing. For Bitcoin, if we can close above the 30.3 level, I'll probably start longing Bitcoin too. This is right now, we have a really good buy volume coming in. And I want to see some follow through here. So I think you could probably take a risky long here, but I'm going to just play it safe and wait for the next hour or two worth of candles to come in, as I don't love the setup, but I do recognize that equities are looking a little bit better, although have not, fully confirmed a break above the previous daily close either. Remember, just because price is above it right now doesn't mean that the candle can't close lower or in a sketchy fashion. It looks good now, but I don't have confirmation, so I'm going to wait for confirmation and be patient. So again, you could certainly take a risky long here, but I will be waiting for further confirmation to do so. And my bias still remains generally bullish, although I will admit that I would not be, I think anyone who's trading for extremes this week, may not get the extremes. Meaning, if you're trading in the breakout of 31, I think we may see, one more maybe rejection back to mid-range before we head up higher, potentially over the weekend, or even lower if some bad news comes. But I think trading extremes after extreme movements will probably get you hurt. So in my opinion, when price starts to get to resistance or get to a potential deviation area, probably best to take profit. Try not to overextend yourself. I know it's easy to say, well, Bitcoin's gonna hit 32, Bitcoin's gonna hit 34. I do agree that we are likely to do that, but nothing is set in stone. Nothing is for certain, and playing it safely and protecting your profits is always the best way to go. So in my opinion, do not trade the extremes until we get into next week, because I think everyone will be excited about PCE. And if the preliminary information around PCE is good, then we will obviously, continue to head higher. So in my opinion, don't trade the extremes, play it safe, wait for trade confirmations, and don't take any crazy trades just because you want to. Again, the US session has been selling crypto. Asia has been buying. Right now, there's no reason to trade against the trend right now. And I am going to be patient on my longs until at least the end of today, meaning 8 p.m. Eastern, or the start of the Asian session. So good luck. Happy trading. Again, if you're not in the TTC community, www.tradethechain.com. You get access to a ton of actionable data and trade insights. We drop 4 trade ideas per day in the TTC community. We also email it to our members. If you're not in Trade the Chain, you're missing out on 20 trades per week, plus follow-up analysis, plenty of data, and more information. So good luck. Happy trading. See everybody soon.